You know what? Right now, there might be an invisible killer quietly destroying your future, and you think it's protecting you. This killer is called your comfort zone. Today, I want to tell you a brutal truth. Your comfort zone may have already become your most dangerous enemy. Here's what most people don't realize. Your comfort zone isn't just holding you back. It's actively working against you, rewiring your brain to accept mediocrity as success, fear as wisdom, and stagnation as stability. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to reveal 7 warning signs that your safe haven has become a psychological prison and, more importantly, show you exactly how to break free. This isn't another motivational video filled with empty promises. What you're about to learn is based on cutting-edge neuroscience and cognitive psychology research. We'll explore why 95% of people completely misunderstand the real danger of comfort zones. Identify 7 signs you might be experiencing right now without even realizing it. Understand how your brain tricks you into believing safety is actually dangerous. And discover how successful people identify and break through these invisible traps. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete framework for recognizing when comfort has turned toxic and practical tools to reclaim your growth trajectory. So if you've been feeling stuck, unchallenged, or like you're somehow falling behind, despite doing everything right, this video is specifically for you. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth about comfort zones that nobody talks about. Your brain is wired for survival, not success. Deep inside your skull, there's an ancient alarm system called the amygdala that's constantly scanning for threats. When you step outside familiar territory, this alarm goes off, flooding your system with stress hormones and creating that uncomfortable feeling we call fear. But here's where it gets interesting. Your brain can't distinguish between a real threat and a perceived one. So when you think about public speaking, starting a business, or learning a new skill, your amygdala reacts the same way it would to a charging lion. This worked great when our ancestors needed to avoid getting eaten, but in today's world, this same system is sabotaging your potential. Meanwhile, your dopamine system, your brain's reward center, gets hijacked by the false security of routine. Every time you choose the familiar path, you get a small hit of satisfaction. Your brain interprets this as good job, you're safe, but what it's really saying is, good job, you're not growing. This creates what neuroscientists call the safety illusion. You feel like you're making progress because you're comfortable, but comfort and progress are often opposites. While you're feeling safe in your bubble, the world outside is changing at an exponential rate. Technology evolves, industries transform, skills become obsolete, and suddenly, what felt like security becomes vulnerability. Think about it this way. If you're not growing, you're actually shrinking relative to everything around you. It's like standing still on a moving walkway going in the opposite direction. You're not just staying in place, you're falling behind. Now let's dive into the 7 warning signs that your comfort zone has become dangerous. The first sign is perhaps the most insidious because it feels like wisdom. Sign number 1, you start thinking good enough is actually good enough. This is what psychologists call the satisfaction trap. When you reach a certain level of competence or success, your brain starts sending signals that you can relax now. You've made it, you can coast. But here's the problem. Good enough is a moving target. What was excellent 5 years ago might be average today. I've seen countless professionals who were once at the top of their game become irrelevant because they stopped pushing their boundaries. They confused temporary achievement with permanent security. Ask yourself this question: when was the last time you felt genuinely challenged by your work? If you can't remember, or if your answer is, I don't want to be challenged anymore, you're in the satisfaction trap. Sign number 2, you actively avoid any opportunity where failure is possible. This might sound rational. Why would you want to fail? but avoiding failure means avoiding growth. Every skill you've ever mastered required you to be terrible at it first. Perfectionism isn't about high standards, it's about fear, wearing a disguise. When you only do things you know you can do well, you're not building new capabilities. You're just polishing existing ones. This creates an illusion of productivity, while actually guaranteeing stagnation. I once worked with a talented designer who turned down every project that pushed her creative boundaries. She was afraid of producing work that wasn't immediately excellent. 5 years later, while her peers had developed new skills and advanced their careers, she was still doing the same type of work at the same level, wondering why opportunities weren't coming her way. Sign number 3. Your daily schedule rarely changes. Routine can be powerful, but when every day looks identical to the last, you're training your brain to resist novelty. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity decline. Your brain literally becomes less adaptable when it's not regularly challenged with new experiences. Your brain is like a muscle. Use it in the same ways repeatedly, and those pathways become strong but inflexible. Stop challenging it with new patterns, and it loses its ability to adapt. This is why people who retire without new challenges often experience rapid cognitive decline. Look at your calendar right now. If someone could predict your next week based on your last week, you're in routine lockdown. Sign number 4. You catch yourself saying, "I can't do that," more often than "I'll figure it out." Your language shapes your reality more than you realize. Every time you say, "I can't," you're not just describing a current limitation, you're programming a future one. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research on fixed versus growth mindset shows that people who view abilities as changeable consistently outperform those who see them as fixed. It's not about positive thinking, it's about possibility thinking. Try this experiment. For 1 week, replace "I can't" with "I haven't learned how to yet." Notice how this simple language shift changes not just how you feel about challenges, but how you approach them. Sign number 5. Everyone in your circle is roughly at your level. This is social comfort zone, and it's incredibly dangerous because it feels supportive. Your brain uses social comparison as a measure of success. If everyone around you is similar to you, you feel like you're doing fine. But here's the truth. You become the average of the people you spend the most time with, not just in income or achievement, but in thinking, patterns, expectations, and growth trajectory. If your friends and colleagues aren't challenging you to think differently, you're all collectively settling for less. Successful people deliberately seek out relationships that make them uncomfortable. They want to be the least accomplished person in the room because that's where growth happens. Sign number 6. Learning new skills feels more like punishment than excitement. When did you last feel genuinely excited about mastering something completely new? If learning feels like work rather than adventure, you've trained your brain to resist growth. This is particularly dangerous in our rapidly changing world. The half-life of skills is shrinking. What took decades to become obsolete now happens in years or even months. If you're not continuously learning, you're becoming obsolete. The most successful people I know treat learning like a game. They're curious about everything, excited by challenges, and energized by the process of getting better. They've maintained what psychologists call beginner's mind, the openness and eagerness of someone encountering something for the first time. Sign number 7. You care more about what others think than your own development. Social approval is a powerful drug. Your brain releases the same chemicals when you receive social validation as when you eat food or have sex. This makes it incredibly easy to optimize for approval rather than growth. But here's the paradox. The more you try to please everyone, the less you please yourself, and ultimately, the less you have to offer anyone. People who make the biggest impact are often those who are willing to disappoint others in service of their own development. Ask yourself, are your decisions driven by what will people think, or what will I learn? The answer reveals whether you're growing or just managing your image. Now that you've identified which danger signs resonate with you, let's talk about how to break free. I'm going to give you 4 specific strategies that successful people use to transform discomfort from enemy to ally. Strategy 1 is the micro-fear challenge method. Instead of making dramatic life changes, you start with tiny acts of courage. Every day, do one small thing that makes you slightly uncomfortable. Take a different route to work. Start a conversation with a stranger. Try a food you've never eaten. Order something different at your regular restaurant. These micro-challenges do 2 things. First, they train your amygdala to calm down around novelty. Second, they prove to yourself that discomfort doesn't equal danger. After 30 days of micro-challenges, you'll find that bigger challenges feel more manageable. Track your micro-challenges in a journal. Write down what you did, how it felt, and what you learned. This creates a database of evidence that growth is possible and discomfort is temporary. Strategy 2 is cognitive restructuring. Most of your limitations exist in your thinking, not your circumstances. You need to become a detective of your own beliefs, questioning assumptions you've never questioned. Start by identifying your limiting beliefs. Write down every reason you think you can't do something you want to do. Then, for each belief, ask yourself, is this actually true? Or is this just a story I've been telling myself? What evidence do I have for and against this belief? What would I attempt if I knew this belief was false? This isn't about positive thinking, it's about accurate thinking. Most of our fears are based on outdated information or worst-case scenarios that rarely occur. Strategy 3 is environmental and social restructuring. Your environment shapes your behavior more than your willpower does. If you want to change your surroundings first. Start with your physical space. Rearrange your office. Try working from different locations, or change your morning routine. Then, tackle your social environment. Seek out communities where you're the beginner. Join groups where your current expertise is irrelevant. Find mentors who challenge your thinking and peers who are ahead of you in areas you want to develop. Strategy 4 is systematic growth planning. Growth without direction is just chaos. You need a framework for choosing which discomforts are worth pursuing. Every quarter, set what I call an uncomfortable goal, something that requires you to develop new capabilities. Make sure it's specific, measurable, and slightly scary. Then break it down into weekly challenges and daily micro-actions. The key is to measure progress, not just outcomes. Track how many new things you tried, how many times you felt uncomfortable and pushed through anyway, and how many limiting beliefs you questioned and updated. Let me share 3 real examples of people who recognized these danger signs and transformed their lives. Sarah was a successful marketing director who realized she'd been doing essentially the same job for 8 years. She was comfortable, well paid, and respected, but she felt empty. She recognized signs 1, 3, and 6. She thought she was good enough. Her days were identical, and learning felt like work. Her breakthrough came when she started a side project teaching marketing to small business owners. It forced her to articulate her knowledge differently, deal with new challenges, and step outside her corporate bubble. Within 2 years, she launched her own consulting firm and doubled her income while finding work meaningful again. Marcus was a talented artist who'd been creating the same style of work for 15 years. He was afraid to experiment because his current work sold well, and he didn't want to risk his reputation. He recognized signs 2, 4, and 7, avoiding failure, saying "I can't," and caring too much about others' opinions. He started what he called Failure Fridays, 1 day a week, dedicated to experimenting with techniques he knew nothing about. Most of the work was terrible, but the process rekindled his creativity. Eventually, These experiments evolved into a new style that not only sold better, but brought him international recognition. Lisa was a software engineer who realized her technical skills were becoming outdated. She recognized signs 4, 5, and 6: negative self-talk, a stagnant social circle, and resistance to learning. Her transformation began with joining online communities where she was clearly the least knowledgeable person. She set a rule: ask at least one question per day that revealed her ignorance. Instead of hiding what she didn't know, she made her learning process public. This led to mentorship, opportunities, job offers, and eventually a leadership role at a cutting-edge tech company. The common pattern among all successful transformations is this: they stopped trying to appear competent and started trying to become competent. They embraced being beginners again. Before you start implementing these strategies, let me warn you about 3 common mistakes that can turn healthy discomfort into destructive stress. Mistake 1. Thinking all discomfort is good discomfort. Not every challenge is worth pursuing. Healthy discomfort comes from growth, learning, and expanding capabilities. Unhealthy discomfort comes from toxic relationships, unrealistic expectations, or ignoring your fundamental values. Mistake 2. Trying to change everything at once. Dramatic transformation makes for good movies, but terrible real-life strategies. Your brain can only handle so much change at once. Focus on one area at a time and build momentum gradually. Mistake 3. Ignoring your mental health. Growth requires resilience, and resilience requires self-care. If you're pushing yourself so hard that you're constantly anxious, exhausted, or overwhelmed, you're not growing, you're burning out. The goal is constructive discomfort, not destructive stress. Pay attention to your body and emotions. Healthy challenge energizes you over time, even if it's tiring in the moment. Let me leave you with this core insight. The real danger of comfort zones isn't that they stop you from moving forward. It's that they make you believe you already are moving forward. They create an illusion of progress while actually guaranteeing decline. Here's your quick checklist of the 7 danger signs. Do you think good enough is actually good enough? Do you avoid opportunities where failure is possible? Does your schedule rarely change? Do you say I can't more than I'll learn how? Are all your relationships with people at your level? Does learning feel like punishment? Do you prioritize others' opinions over your growth? If you recognized yourself in any of these signs, today is the day to start changing. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Today. Here's what I want you to do right now. In the comments below, tell me which of these 7 signs hit closest to home for you. Be honest, vulnerability is the first step toward growth. Then, share one specific micro-challenge you're going to attempt this week. It doesn't have to be big or impressive, it just has to be uncomfortable. If this video made you rethink your relationship with comfort, share it with someone who needs this reminder. Sometimes the most valuable gift you can give someone is the permission to be uncomfortable again. Next week, I'm releasing a complete 30-day guide for breaking out of comfort zones with specific daily challenges and progress tracking. Tools. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Remember, growth isn't a destination, it's a way of life. The moment you stop growing, you start dying. Your future self is counting on the choices you make today. Don't let comfort become your cage. I'll see you in the next video, and I hope when I do, you'll have some uncomfortable stories to share.